Oh boy. We've gone through a few big acquisitions on this channel. We went through the Bethesda and Activision acquisitions together. Those were doozies, especially the Activision one. That one lasted forever. And well, Ubisoft, to some extent, might be a part of the next big buyout, and guess who's at the table? If you guess Microsoft, well, you might be right, and we'll get into that today and what's currently being claimed. Now, we do have plenty of other things to talk about as well, but first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and I truly do appreciate you. Let's get right into things, though, starting off with an update for the long-rumored Oblivion remake. I think by this point, we have a relative idea that there's at least a good chance that this will eventually happen. The bigger question right now just kind of comes to when. Well, apparently, its reveal is rather imminent, and its release date might be sooner than expected. Yeah, check this out. This was reported by VGC, and they said, according to noted insider Nate the Hate, the Oblivion remake is set for a reveal in the coming weeks. A claim VGC has corroborated with our own sources. Nate claims the game will likely release before June, while sources have told VGC it could arrive as soon as next month. Now, I wouldn't necessarily peg its release date for next month just based on this report alone. I mean, VGC has proven themselves as a credible outlet in the past, and they do add credence to a soonish Oblivion reveal. The fact that they're agreeing on that part, I think, adds a lot of weight to this rumor. But as for its release date, this is where I have to kind of use my own logic. Now, I might be wrong in this case, but something of note is that Xbox Game Pass already has two major releases planned for next month. In early April, they're going to launch South of Midnight. And then in late April, they have Expedition 33. So it's already pretty crowded for the month of April, and I kind of wonder, can Oblivion actually fit between those releases? I mean, maybe, but it also has the potential to overpower both of those. So I think we should just kind of wait for more information before we set our expectations for what they have planned next month. Either which way, though, I mean, this is incredibly exciting stuff, just considering Oblivion really is an all-time great RPG. Oh, and Blizzard announced a new BlizzCon, which this is kind of a strange announcement. So here's the thing. BlizzCon skipped last year, which, okay, that's perfectly fine. But now they're announcing a new BlizzCon in 2025. But hang on, it's not actually set for 2025. No, instead, this is what they said. BlizzCon is back. The ultimate celebration of our games and the community that unites us is returning to the Anaheim Convention Center Saturday, September 12th and Sunday, September 13th in 2026. And yes, you heard that right. This is an announcement for 2026, actually late 2026. Now, I saw some people wonder if this was just an error on their part. Did they actually mean to type 2025? But no, they repeated 2026 multiple times in this article. So, yeah, I guess they're just kind of giving fans plenty of time to save up and to prepare for their event, which is late next year. That could also indicate that they don't have a lot of new stuff planned for 2025, and if they do have any kind of update for some of their already established games, they can always show that at something like the Xbox Showcase. Something that is planned for 2025, though, and actually for tomorrow on March 13th, is a new Silent Hill transmission. Konami revealed that they plan to open up about Silent Hill F at 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and this could potentially be very exciting. Unlike the Hidden Message, which was really an underwhelming and just smaller Silent Hill project, Silent Hill F is being touted as the next mainline entry for the franchise. It also has a popular manga writer on the project by the name of Ryukishi 07, and I know that has some people curious. Admittedly, I don't really know who that person is, but hopefully that will be an indication that it comes with a well-written narrative. If you're a Silent Hill fan, though, I mean, you should definitely tune in to see what it's all about. Hopefully we'll get a good look at its gameplay, and there's also potential that we could get a release date. Notably, Silent Hill F was rated in Korea back in January, and that oftentimes is a pretty good sign that a release date announcement is somewhat soonish, and, well, it could be here. Okay, so let's just go and get into what's happening with Ubisoft, and if you've been following along, you might know that they're not necessarily in a great position right now. They've been on a downward spiral for quite some time. They've had a lot of failures, and it's really kind of just gotten to the point that there's been serious discussions about a potential acquisition. Last year, we had heard about Tencent being a potential buyer, but Ubisoft's demand seemed a little bit outlandish at the time. They basically wanted to keep their current leadership in power, despite the Tencent buyout, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, why in the world would Tencent agree to keep the same people in power that put them in this failing position in the first place? It just doesn't make any sense. So Tencent rightfully didn't agree to that at the time. But last we'd heard about this, which was back in January, was that they were still in negotiations with each other. It was reported that they might break up Ubisoft to launch a joint venture with Tencent. So at the time, we speculated that they could sell off some of their IP, and that's actually looking a lot more realistic now. A new statement by a shareholder that was issued today to IGN claimed that Ubisoft has been hiding key information. Yeah, you can see here the shareholder pointed to a restricted article published by business investment platform Merger Market that alleged discussions between Microsoft, EA, and others that are interested in acquiring IPs from Ubisoft. Management did not inform the public about these steps either, this shareholder said. So that's a bit of a bombshell that almost leans into some of those reports that we heard about a few months ago. The idea that they're selling off some of their franchises could actually be true according to this very shareholder here. And we already have two potential buyers named, Microsoft and EA. Now, keep in mind that quote-unquote others were loosely mentioned as well. So theoretically, Sony could also be in the conversation here, or really just any other number of big companies. But I can't say that I'm even slightly surprised to hear Microsoft's name pop up. I mean, they have more buying power than pretty much anybody in the game industry, and they've been a big buyer for years now. They want all of the IP that they can get to feed into their Game Pass model, and more recently, their mantra of being the biggest game publisher in the world. So, if they could add Splinter Cell, Rayman, or Assassin's Creed to their portfolio, yeah, that would feed into their current goals. Now, I do understand that there's that concern of regulations when it comes to them, though. Of course, they had to battle the FTC and the CMA last time around. But because this doesn't include an acquisition of Ubisoft itself, this shouldn't catch a lot of attention from regulators like we saw with the Activision Blizzard buyout. This time, instead of it being in an entire publishing arm, they could just simply buy the IP and the studio that works on it. So in the case of Splinter Cell as one such example, they could simply buy the IP and the studio that's currently working on it. Now, that's an IP that I could easily see Xbox call about just because they have a history with Splinter Cell exclusivity. But Ubisoft, they have a number of major franchises that should get a lot of attention. They have Far Cry, they have Rayman, Beyond Good and Evil, and of course, they also have games like Rainbow Six. Obviously, Rainbow Six Siege has been one of the standout live service games for the game industry. So that would be a big get for pretty much anybody who's interested. Now, again, Microsoft was mentioned by name, but EA was also mentioned as well. So what that means is that there's multiple companies involved. This isn't like the Luka Doncic trade where the Mavericks went rogue and only contacted the Lakers. I mean, the stupidity. What Ubisoft is doing, though, is that they're getting multiple companies involved, which is the smart thing to do. That way they can drive the price up. Let me know what you all think about this, though. If this actually happens, who would you like to get the IP and why? Give me your reasons in the comments below. Now, speaking of Ubisoft, let's go and finish off the day with some PlayStation Plus news. They, in fact, announced a very welcome Ubisoft game for the month of March, and you might already see it on screen here. It's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Now, I'll go and circle back to that game in a moment because I think it's a really, really good game. But this wave also includes UFC 5, Captain Tsubasa, Mobile Suit, Gundam Battle, Arcade Paradise, Bang on Balls, Chronicles, You Suck at Parking, and Siberia: The World Before. Now, all of these games will be available for PlayStation Plus Extra subscribers starting March 18th. So go ahead and mark your calendars because there's a few games here that are definitely worth checking out. Then for you premium subscribers, you'll also be able to play Arcade Paradise VR and the original PlayStation 1 Armored Core trilogy. Now that's actually a pretty cool selection of PS1 games. Not the most obvious, but definitely very welcome. Now obviously though, the most notable inclusion, like I said before, is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This really was just one of the most under the radar better games from last year, and it's easily one of the best best Metroidvania games that we've gotten in a very, very long time. So if you like Metroidvanias, this truly is a must-play game. It's got great platforming coming from the Rayman Origins team. You can definitely feel it in this game, and the combat is also a lot of fun. Truthfully, it's kind of a shame that Ubisoft didn't seem more impressed by its results, but if you missed out on it last year, I really can't recommend it enough. Now, another game on this list that I think is actually pretty decent, this is not a big game per se, but it's You Suck at Parking. It's just kind of a fun game where it challenges you to, do different parking maneuvers. It sounds weird and everything, but it's kind of a fun party game if you want to get a group of people together and just, try it out. It's okay for what it is. Overall, though, I'd say this is an okay month for you PlayStation Plus subscribers. The fact that it has Prince of Persia alone, automatically bumps it up just a bit. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.